Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. Microsoft is cutting the cord. With the launch of the Maia 200, the tech giant is going head-to-head with Amazon and Google in the Silicon Wars, aiming to run GPT 5.2 on its own metal. But while the tech giants sprint, the workforce is stumbling. A sobering new Gallup report shows that 50% of American workers have never used AI on the job. We are seeing a massive bifurcation between the AI haves in tech and finance and the AI have-nots in retail and manufacturing. Also today, Nvidia releases a voice AI that can listen and talk at the same time. SoftBank's $50 billion data center deal falls apart, and Anthropic puts a data analyst inside your Excel spreadsheet. But before we dive into the rundown, are you drowning in dense legal text? Jamgamind is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F interoperability rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamind.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now let's unravel the news.
Welcome back to AI Unraveled. It is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026.
Here we are again.
And you are listening to your daily deep dive, where we don't just, read the headlines. We take them apart. We try to find the signal in all that noise.
And there is so much noise today.
There really is.
Yeah.
I'm your host, and I am ready to break down what feels like a day of just total chaos in the industry.
And I'm here to help connect the dots. And, looking at the landscape today, it feels less like one cohesive industry and more like a split-screen movie.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Where, the two halves are playing completely different genres.
That's exactly it. It is a day of massive, glaring contradictions.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the left side of that screen, the hardware, the models, and things are accelerating at a pace that is, frankly, a little bit terrifying.
Terrifying is the right word, yeah.
We're talking about chips that rewrite the rules of physics and voice models that sound more human than I do before my morning coffee.
Right. But then you look at the right side of the screen, the actual human workforce, and it looks like a drama about stagnation. I mean, we have some really sobering data today about adoption that suggests the whole AI revolution might be stuck in the lobby for about half the country.
Computer chip sound.
It's a weird dynamic.
It really is. It's the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object. So here's how we're going to tackle this today.
Let's do it.
We're kicking things off with the Silicon War. Microsoft has officially thrown its hat in the ring with the Maia 200 to challenge Amazon directly. We need to talk about what 3-nanometer silicon actually means for your bottom line.
And then we have to pivot to that reality check, that new data from Gallup. It exposes this massive digital divide in the workplace. I mean, we really have to get into why 50% of workers are just opting out.
And we won't stop there. We're going to deep dive into Nvidia's new Personaplex, which, and this isn't an exaggeration, it fundamentally changes the physics of how computers listen to us.
And finally, we'll look at why predicting the weather with superintelligence is somehow easier than closing a $50 billion infrastructure deal in the real world.
A lot to unpack, so let's get right into it. The Silicon War.
Let's go.
Computer chip sound.
Okay, so Redmond is making waves today.
Big ones. Microsoft has officially released the Maia 200. This is their second-generation in-house AI chip. And, if you remember the first Maia, it felt a little bit like a science experiment.
It was proof of concept, really.
Exactly. It was them dipping a toe in the water, maybe checking the temperature. This release, this feels like a cannonball.
It's definitely a statement piece. And to really understand why, you have to look at the specs. I mean, the Maia 200 is built on TSMC's 3-nanometer process.
Okay, stop there for a second. 3-nanometer process. We hear this term thrown around all the time in tech circles.
All the time.
For the non-semiconductor engineers listening right now, why does that specific number matter? Why should an investor, an executive, care about nanometers?
It really all comes down to two things: density and efficiency. In the chip world, smaller is always better.
Always.
Because it means you can pack more transistors into the exact same amount of space. The distance between all the electrical components shrinks, which means signals travel faster and you lose less energy as heat.
So it's faster and it's cheaper to run.
Exactly. And going to 3 nanometer allows Microsoft to pack over 100 billion transistors onto a single piece of silicon.
100 billion. It's a number so big, it almost loses all meaning.
Think of it as 100 billion tiny light switches. More switches mean more calculations per second, and crucially, less energy used per calculation.
And that's the key at scale.
Oh, absolutely. When you are running a data center the size of 10 football fields, that energy efficiency isn't just, eco-friendly. It's the difference between profitability and bankruptcy.
Right.
But the raw transistor count isn't actually the spiciest part of this announcement.
No.
It's the posturing.
Right. I notice this too. Usually these big tech companies are so polite with each other. They say things like 20% faster than the leading alternative or, best in class.
Very vague.
But Microsoft came out swinging. They are naming names.
They are. They are explicitly comparing the Maia 200 to Amazon's chips and to Google's TPUs.
No.
What's interesting is they aren't even mentioning Nvidia as much in the direct comparisons.
They're targeting the other cloud providers.
Exactly. And the key metric they are pushing is something called FP4 performance.
Okay, let's decode that because that's another one of those terms, FP4. What is it and why is Microsoft betting the farm on it?
So FP stands for floating point. It's essentially how computers do math with decimals. The number, in this case 4, refers to the precision, or, the number of bits used to represent that number. Historically, for science and stuff, we used FP32 or FP16. Very high precision, super accurate, but computationally very heavy.
It's like trying to calculate a tip at a restaurant down to the 10,000th of a penny. You just don't need it.
Exactly. It's overkill. You don't need that level of precision for most AI inference. When you ask an AI to generate a poem or identify a cat in an image, you don't need scientific accuracy.
You need probabilistic accuracy.
Precisely. FP4 is like lowering the resolution of the math. It's way faster and it takes up much, much less memory.
So it's essentially good enough math, but done at light speed.
That's the perfect way to put it. And Microsoft is claiming that at this specific task, FP4 inference, the Maia 200 delivers 3 times the performance of Amazon's 3rd generation Trainium chip.
3 times.
3 times.
That is not a rounding error. That is not a marginal gain. That's a generational leap.
It really is.
But okay, play devil's advocate for me here. Microsoft is a software company, right? They built Windows. They built Office. Why are they suddenly obsessing over beating Amazon at the hardware game? Why not just keep buying Nvidia chips like everyone else?
2 words. The Nvidia tax.
Okay.
For the last 3 years, Jensen Huang and Nvidia have had a total monopoly on the shovel-selling business in this gold rush. If you're Microsoft and you're running Copilot for hundreds of millions of users, paying Nvidia margins on every single query just destroys your profitability.
So every time I ask Copilot to summarize a funny email for me, Microsoft is paying a premium if they're running it on Nvidia H100.
They are certainly paying more than they want to be paying.
Yeah.
By building the Maia 200, they are trying to own the entire stack, from the silicon all the way up to the prompt.
I see.
If they can run GPT 5.2 on their own metal, their cost per query plummets. It gives them margin control. And maybe most importantly, it means they don't have to ask Jensen for permission to scale their business.
It's a declaration of independence.
It is. And it signals to investors that Microsoft isn't just a wrapper for OpenAI anymore.
Right.
They are building the physical infrastructure to support the software for the long haul. And, let's not overlook the specific workload focus here. They explicitly stated this will power Microsoft Foundry and Microsoft 365 Copilot.
That feels really significant. They aren't just putting this out there for random developers to rent immediately. They're, what's the phrase, eating their own dog food first.
Correct. They are moving their heaviest, most expensive workloads, which are the daily Copilot queries from enterprise users, onto Maia first.
Which frees up what?
It frees up their Nvidia clusters for the really, really heavy lifting, like training the next massive models.
Right.
GPT-6 or whatever comes next. It's a very strategic allocation of resources.
And they confirmed immediate availability, right? This isn't one of those coming in 2027 kind of announcements.
No. It is deploying today in the Azure US Central Data Center. That is aggressive. It's a message to Amazon. We are here, our chips work, and we are switching our core workloads over now.
So, okay, for the executive listening to this, the big takeaway is margin. But if Microsoft lowers their compute costs, does that mean cheaper AI for the rest of us?
Eventually, yes. Or, I think more likely, it means better AI for the same price.
Okay.
Instead of raising the price of your Copilot subscription, they can make the model smarter, faster, more capable because they have the margin to burn. It stabilizes the economics of the whole ecosystem.
It's the industrialization of AI. We're moving from the experimental phase, where cost is no object,
Right, the Wild West.
to the efficiency phase, where every single watt counts.
Exactly. The Wild West is over. The factory building has begun.
So on one side of the ledger, we have Microsoft building these incredible 100 billion transistor chips to make AI faster, cheaper, more ubiquitous. But then we have the humans.
The bottleneck in the machine.
Let's pivot to this Gallup report because, honestly, this was a splash of cold water in my face this morning.
I know exactly what you mean.
We've been living in this hype cycle for 3 solid years. But according to Gallup's Q4 2025 report, nearly half of American workers say they never touch AI tools.
It is a staggering statistic.
Never, not once.
We live in this tech bubble, right? We assume everyone is prompting all day long. We assume every email is written by an LLM and every report is summarized by one.
Of course.
But the data shows adoption is plateauing. And what's fascinating to me is that even in the tech sector, which, leads the pack with 60% frequent use, even there, growth has stalled.
It's flat.
We saw this massive surge in adoption between 2024 and 2025, and now it's just flatlining.
Why? I mean, these tools are integrated into everything now. Is it active resistance? Is it like corporate policy blocking it? Or is it just apathy?
Well, Gallup dug into this, and the sector split gives us a massive clue. You have finance, education, and professional services following tech. They're doing okay, but look at retail and manufacturing.
They're way behind.
They are trailing significantly.
Well, sure. I mean, that makes some sense. If I'm working a register or welding a car chassis, ChatGPT isn't going to help me physically move an object. I can't prompt a box onto a truck.
That's the surface level take, and it's true to a point. But think about the administrative side of those jobs.
Okay.
Scheduling, inventory management, safety reporting, shift swapping, those are all information tasks. There is massive room for AI to help there, but the data shows the digital divide is just stark.
How stark?
Remote-capable roles are at 66% adoption. Jobs requiring a physical presence, only 32%.
So basically, the people who sit at desks all day are using it, and the people who are standing up are not.
Basically. And it's because the tools are designed for the laptop class. If your primary interface with your work is a screen and a keyboard, AI fits naturally into your workflow.
But if your primary interface is a hammer or a forklift or a customer's face,
The friction of pulling out a phone to prompt an AI is just too high. It breaks your flow.
that makes a lot of sense. But the most alarming stat in this report for me was the leadership gap. This is where the real tension lies.
Oh, this one jumped out at me too. Walk us through the numbers on that.
So 69% of leaders, managers, executives say they use AI regularly.
Okay, a high number.
But only 40% of individual contributors do. That is a nearly 30-point gap.
That just screams ivory tower, doesn't it? The CEO is using AI to draft strategy memos or summarize market trends and is sitting there thinking, this is amazing. We are an AI-first company.
Exactly. They see the magic because they operate at a high level of abstraction.
Right.
Summarize this 50-page report for me. Write a vision statement. AI is fantastic at that stuff.
Meanwhile, the person who's actually doing the grunt work, the data entry, the customer support, the granular coding is saying, this tool hallucinates, it takes too long to set up, and it doesn't actually help me file this specific tax form any faster.
And that's exactly what Gallup found. They cited lack of clear utility as the #1 reason for non-adoption.
Lack of clear utility. I mean, what a damning phrase for a trillion-dollar industry.
It really is.
It is an indictment of the product. It means we haven't solved the last mile problem. We've built these amazing, powerful engines, but we haven't built the tires that actually connect them to the road.
That's a great way to put it.
Leaders deal in strategy, so they see the engine's power. Workers deal in execution, and if the tires are flat, the engine doesn't matter.
So is this a failure of education then? Are we just not teaching people how to use it properly? Do we need more, corporate seminars on prompt engineering 101?
I think it's deeper than that. I mean, education helps, sure. But if you have to take a 3-hour seminar to learn how to make a hammer useful, it's probably a bad hammer.
Good point.
It's a product market fit problem inside the enterprise. But here's the real danger zone the report highlights. this gap is expanding.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. The report suggests the middle ground is just disappearing.
Meaning you either adopt it and win big, or you ignore it and get left behind.
Precisely. They predict that the adopters in those lagging sectors, retail, manufacturing, the ones who do figure out how to automate their workflows, are going to, and this is their phrase, sprint ahead.
So if you're the one logistics manager who masters AI while your 10 peers ignore it,
You become exponentially more valuable. You do the work of 3 people in half the time. And the competitive pressure is going to get incredibly intense for that 50% who are currently ignoring it.
it's the adapt or die moment, but it's playing out in slow motion across the entire economy.
Exactly. And, speaking of utility and making these tools actually useful, let's talk about the friction of using them.
Right. So we have this massive lack of utility problem. People aren't using AI because it just feels like work, it feels clunky, there's friction. But what if that friction just disappeared?
Yeah.
What if interacting with the computer was as easy as interrupting a friend in conversation?
That is the exact question Nvidia is trying to answer.
Let's talk about PersonaPlex, because like you said, one of the biggest friction points has always been the interface. Typing is slow, talking is fast, but talking to computers has historically been, well, painful.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Or you get the dreaded spinning wheel while it thinks.
Exactly. It's the Alexa stop, Alexa stop problem, where you find yourself shouting at a plastic puck in your kitchen.
Nvidia might have just solved that. They released PersonaPlex today, which is an open model for real-time dialogue. And the headline feature, the thing everyone is talking about, is duplex communication.
Duplex, okay. For the listeners who aren't telecom nerds, break that down for us. What is the difference between simplex and duplex?
So think of a walkie-talkie. That is simplex communication. I talk, I have to say over, then you can talk.
You can't both talk at once.
You can. If we both press the button, nothing happens but static. Most voice assistants today, Siri, Alexa, even the early versions of ChatGPT voice, are fundamentally simplex. You speak, you wait, it processes, it speaks.
And if I try to interrupt it while it's talking, it just keeps rambling until it finishes its pre-generated sentence. It doesn't hear me.
Right. It feels robotic because it is robotic. Duplex means the system can listen and speak at the same time.
At the same time.
It mimics a real human conversation. It picks up on natural speech patterns, interruptions, all the ums and ahs and verbal cues while it is actively generating audio.
That sounds incredibly difficult to engineer. I mean, you have to filter out the AI's own voice from the microphone input while it's simultaneously listening for the user.
It is an acoustic nightmare, a massive signal processing challenge. But the performance metrics NVIDIA released today are just wild. They claim PersonaPlex can switch speakers in 0.07 seconds.
Wait, say that again, 0.07 seconds.
0.07 of a second.
Put that in context for me. How does that compare to what we have right now? What's the best in class today?
Well, Gemini Live, which is Google's current state-of-the-art voice mode, takes about 1.3 seconds to switch.
1.3 seconds. I mean, that sounds pretty fast on paper.
On paper, yeah. In a conversation, it's an eternity. 1.3 seconds is that awkward silence on a bad Zoom connection.
Right.
It completely breaks the flow of conversation. It forces you to mentally wait your turn. But 0.07 seconds, that is faster than human reaction time. It is, for all intents and purposes, instantaneous.
That is the game changer right there. Because if the latency is gone, that whole lack of utility we were just talking about with the Gallup report, it starts to dissolve.
It really does.
If I could just shout a complex query at my computer and it answers instantly, and I can interrupt it to correct it mid-sentence, suddenly it's actually faster than typing.
Exactly. It removes the cognitive load of operating the AI. You aren't using a tool anymore. You're just talking. And NVIDIA claims a 100% success rate in handling user interruptions.
100%.
That's the holy grail. Being
Yeah.
able to say, no, wait, not that one, the other file while the bot is speaking and having it instantly pivot without missing a beat.
And for developers listening, this is huge because the code and the model weights are free on Hugging Face and GitHub. NVIDIA isn't gatekeeping this technology.
They want everyone building voice interfaces with this. Why?
Let me guess.
Because running a low-latency duplex voice model at scale requires, well, a whole lot of NVIDIA chips.
Smart. Very, very smart. They give one the software to sell the hardware. And they said it scored higher on naturalness too, right?
Yeah, that's the other part. It scored a 3.90 on dialogue naturalness tests, which beat Gemini Live's 3.72. So it's not just faster, it also feels more human.
That is the stuff of sci-fi movies becoming reality. But, speaking of heavy computing and simulating reality,
Yeah.
let's look up at the sky.
Thunder rain sound.
Nvidia isn't just listening to our voices, they're watching the clouds. We have some major news about their Earth 2 project.
This is one of those projects that really justifies the billions and billions of dollars spent on GPUs.
Absolutely.
Earth 2 is Nvidia's new AI weather model, and the claim here is that it can predict storms and extreme weather events weeks further into the future than any of our current systems.
Weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the difference between an orderly evacuation and a total panic. That's the difference between securing the power grid ahead of time and having a statewide blackout.
Precisely. The technical leap here is in what they call global data assimilation. Traditionally, digesting all the satellite and sensor data to make a forecast takes hours on these massive government-run supercomputers.
Right, you're solving complex fluid dynamics equations.
Exactly. Earth 2 does it in minutes on GPUs using AI inference.
Minutes versus hours. That's the massive speed up in a critical situation.
It's incredible. And their medium-range model that they released is reportedly beating Google DeepMind's GenCast on more than 70 different weather variables. But the real story for me is the democratization.
What do you mean by that?
Because this runs on GPUs and not on these singular massive supercomputers that, require their own nuclear power plant to run.
Right.
It allows smaller countries to access top-tier, world-class forecasting. Nvidia specifically mentioned that Israel and Taiwan are already testing this system.
So you don't need $1 billion NOAA infrastructure anymore to know if a typhoon is coming your way.
Right. You just need a rack of H100s. It decentralizes safety. It means developing nations can potentially have first-world weather protection.
It's amazing, however. While the software is getting faster and the simulations are getting better, the physical world is proving much, much harder to conquer. We have to talk about SoftBank.
Yeah, this is the reality check for the money is no object crowd. SoftBank has officially ended talks to acquire the U.S. data center company Switch.
And this was a monster deal, right? Not a small acquisition.
It was valued at around $50 billion, and the context here is Masayoshi Son's Stargate project.
Right, his grand vision.
His vision to build this massive AI infrastructure network specifically to support OpenAI. Buying Switch was supposed to be the foundational block of that entire plan.
So why did it fail? I mean, $50 billion is a lot of money, but SoftBank loves big bets. Masayoshi Son is not exactly known for being timid.
It really seems like reality just set in. The reports are saying there were concerns over the sheer size of the deal, of course, but also the operational difficulty.
The nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly. Running data centers across multiple U.S. locations, dealing with different power grids, cooling challenges, local regulations. It's messy. It's not like software where you just copy and paste the code. This is physical infrastructure.
It's the atoms versus bits problem all over again.
It is. You can scale software infinitely with the click of a button, but you can't scale a power plant overnight. You can't just wish for more land or more cooling water to appear.
So what happens now?
Well, Switch is now preparing for a possible IPO, and they might still do a smaller partnership with SoftBank. But the investor takeaway here is crucial. Logistics are acting as a brake on capital deployment.
So no matter how good the AI gets, we are still fundamentally limited by how fast we can pour concrete and run copper wire.
The constraints of the physical world are, and always will be, undefeated. You can have the smartest model in the world, but if you can't plug it in, it doesn't matter.
All right, let's hit the application layer. We've got a rapid-fire rundown of the software updates you need to know about from today.
Let's run through them.
First up, Anthropic is making some big moves with Claude for Excel.
This is a really big one for the office worker crowd. They've expanded Claude for Excel to their pro-tier customers. It was previously locked behind the really expensive Max and Enterprise tiers.
So what can it do now? Is it just a glorified autocomplete for my formulas?
Oh, it's far from it. You can now pull in multiple spreadsheets at once. It has much better memory management, so it can handle longer sessions without forgetting what you were doing. And crucially, they added safeguards to prevent it from overwriting your existing cell data.
Oh, thank goodness. I do not need an AI accidentally deleting my Q3 projections.
Exactly. But the cultural note here is what I find fascinating. People are calling this getting Claude-pilled.
Claude-pilled? What does that even mean?
It's this idea that just like coding is being automated away by tools like Cursor and Copilot, the complex Excel wizardry, the VLO lookups, the pivot tables, the intricate macros that people used to build careers on is vanishing.
The skill floor is lowering.
It's dropping to zero. You don't need to know the formula anymore. You just need to know what you want the data to tell you.
So the Excel wizard in the office is officially an endangered species.
Or they are evolving into a data strategist. The tedious mechanics are being automated.
Interesting. Okay, next up, Apple AirTag 2.
This is more evolution, not revolution, but still very useful. It uses the same ultra-wideband chip as the new iPhone 17. The big update is that precision finding now works directly on the Apple Watch Series 9 and up.
So you can just follow your wrist to find your lost keys.
Exactly. But the stat that caught my eye wasn't the hardware. It was the airline data they released alongside it.
Yes, I saw this. Airlines using the Share IM location feature, where you, the customer, give them access to your AirTag data, are reporting a 26% drop in baggage delays.
And a 90% reduction in unrecoverable permanently lost luggage.
90%. That is a massive efficiency gain just by letting the customer share data with the vendor.
Transparency solves problems. It turns out, if everyone knows exactly where the bag is, it's a lot harder to lose it.
Okay, quick hits time. What else is happening out there?
KREA introduced something called real-time edit. You can make these really granular changes to images just by typing text prompts, and it happens in real time.
Wow.
And Cursor 2.4 is out. It introduces sub-agents to break down complex coding tasks into multiple parallel work streams.
That's really interesting. Agents managing other agents. It's like a little software team.
It's the future of coding. Also, APOC AI reports that OpenAI's GPT 5.2 Pro set a new record on the Frontier Math benchmark. It scored 31%.
Which doesn't sound high, but it's nearly double the previous high score.
Exactly. Math is still the hardest problem for LLM, so 31% on a Frontier benchmark like that is very significant progress. It shows their reasoning capabilities are improving, not just language prediction.
What else?
And finally, a couple of quick ones. Sam Altman teased new codex launches coming this week, claiming the highest cybersecurity capability levels we've seen. And Sakana AI, out of Japan, secured a big investment and partnership with Google to deploy AI into Japan's highly regulated industries.
The landscape never, ever stops moving.
Yeah, never a dull day.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. What does today's news really tell us? What's the big picture?
Well, if we look at the whole board, we see the ceiling rising at an incredible rate. We have GPT 5.2 breaking records in advanced math. We have Nvidia predicting the weather weeks out with Earth 2. We have Microsoft building these unbelievably dense 3-nanometer chips. The absolute capability is just skyrocketing.
But the floor feels really sticky.
The floor is very sticky. You have SoftBank, with all the money in the world, balking at the physical cost of building infrastructure. And you have that Gallup report with 50% of the workforce looking at these incredible tools and saying, I don't get it. Why should I use this?
It's a tension between potential and application.
That is the defining tension of 2026. The technology is ready for the future, but the world and the people in it are still catching up to the present.
And that brings me to our final provocative thought for the day.
Let's hear it.
We talked about the Gallup report and that killer phrase, lack of clear utility. And then a few minutes later, we talked about Nvidia's Personaplex and its 0.07-second response time.
I see where you're going with this.
Is the utility problem actually a latency problem? Think about it. If AI is truly instant place, if Claude analyzes my spreadsheet in milliseconds, if the voice assistant replies before I can even finish my thought, does that 50% non-adoption rate just collapse? Or is there a fundamental human resistance that even faster chips can't fix?
That is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? Is it the tool's fault for being slow and clunky, or is it our fault for not knowing how to wield it yet? I suspect as the lag completely disappears, we're going to run out of excuses. But until then, the great divide remains.
I think you're right. We are rapidly approaching the moment of zero latency, and that's when the real test begins. So that's something for you to mull over as you head into your Wednesday. Check your own workflows. Are you waiting on the AI, or is the AI waiting on you?
That's the scary question.
Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow on AI Unraveled.
Goodbye, everyone.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is latency. Nvidia's new Personaplex model has cut voice response time to 0.07 seconds, effectively zero latency. Meanwhile, Microsoft is cutting supply chain latency by building its own chips, and Nvidia Earth 2 is cutting prediction latency from hours to minutes. In 2026, speed isn't just a feature, it is the only competitive advantage that matters. Before we go, a reminder for the leaders listening. Are you drowning in dense legal text? JamGamind is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F Interoperability Rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamind.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.